I always say that there's ideas floating around up there somewhere because we have no ceilings in our studios, and it'll be so cool to be like working on something and then go down the hall and see in Luigia's studio, you know, there's something that she's working on that's got the same dynamic of what I'm dealing with, and we can discuss that and share ideas about that stuff. And Santa Monica Art Studios is just unique in that way, I think.
Here she is. Welcome to studio number 20. I've been asked to talk about my time here, that as we know, in the community of artists, there is no time. There never has been time. We borrow from the past. We have our own sense memories. We put them all together in this extraordinary Cuisinart, and things come out that often surprise us.
The ink surprises me all the time when I open my eyes and see new forms that I didn't meant to paint. And again, I grab this connect. And I love to feel the noise and the sound and how the bamboo itself. And the non-dominant here is very important. And then the surprise again of what's going on and how it's flowing itself.
I had the opportunity about 12 years ago to work with Yossi to create the Santa Monica Art Studios, at least the conception of them. What happened in Santa Monica was that so many artists were displaced from their studios that the city appointed a committee to study what was going on, and Yossi and I served together. The opportunity came up in that period for a building at the airport, which had been vacant for a number of years, and Yossi had jumped on the opportunity, and we worked together on the design. And after a couple of years and a lot of negotiations with the city, we were finally able to secure this airplane hangar. When we took it over, it was basically a glorified pigeon coop. This is what it looked like when we started to tear down some of the junk that was in here. So we came in and we humanely asked the pigeons to leave. And we took about 4 months, finally, once we got our permits and got through the city, and created what I think is one of the most important art centers in the whole region.
Four or 5 years ago, I found this beautiful place, Santa Monica Art Studios, and they offered me to have this space, and since then I have been working here.
I've been here at Santa Monica Studios for over 10 years when it first began. I moved from Connecticut right at that time when this was opening, and a friend of mine who moved in here called me.
And I've been here for 10 years since it opened, and it's been really rather wonderful. Fabulous camaraderie, people discussing and helping each other with critiques and ideas.
So when I heard that, I thought, this is sounds terrific. To have the community around me, but yet not be in the same room with all the artists, with all the distractions and the yakking. So,
and I would have my own room with my own door I was in. So I've been here for 10 years from the beginning, and it's been very exciting, and it's been a great opportunity for me.
Knocked on the door, and Luigia opened the door, and she was on the floor, and I said, how do I get in here? I've got to be here. And they told me, and on Wednesday I was standing in line waiting for the doors to open.
And I've been here 9 years. I started here a year after it opened, and it's a wonderful place.
Just really having the place and the supportive environment is awesome.
I love it here. I love this is my home away from home. This is pretty much the way that I live. So this feels very comfortable to me to just come here and sit down and work. And
allows you the space to be alone and be with your material and not have interference in these nice big rooms. But it also, there's a community of artists here. It's very nice to just even lightly touch base with.
Coming together, talking about art, life, ourselves, our passions, the color red, the color blue, it doesn't matter. We all come together and support each other. And
it's like to be in an aeroplane for me. That's the most close feeling I have, to be in Santa Monica Art Studios, in my studio, where you sit in a plane, but at the same time you have that concrete sensation that you move through space.
I used to work a lot alone. I have a studio also at home, but I find myself working at home and then taking part of my art here to be with around artists myself and not feel alone.
This is the first time I have ever worked in a communal setting, and it has been an extraordinary experience being around other artists, having the dynamism of discussions, of critiques, and of the open studios that allows the public to come in and see us in our natural habitat, if you will.
Came to the Santa Monica Art Studios last year in July, and I moved from Connecticut, where I was also in a community of artists in an old abandoned warehouse. And so I was looking for that same kind of feeling with great energy.
We have the community aspect, we have an exchange among the artists here, and not only the artists who have studio spaces here within the building, but also artists that come from the outside.
And it's been a really neat process to be here because of the exposure to the Los Angeles art scene and having a community of artists and people that come to see all the shows. And
it's just the West is a more open place, and so people are open to different kinds of work. They're willing to buy different kinds of work. They're willing to engage in different kinds of work, and it just feels possible here.
It reflects a little bit of what's happening in Los Angeles art scene, so there's many different styles in here.
I know that LA right now, Los Angeles as an entirety with all the different communities, you put that together and you have an incredible growing artistic movement.
Definitely am excited about watching Los Angeles become an art center nationally, and having people learn to look towards the left coast for art and ideas. And I think that we're all really blessed to be a part of that.
So we are totally, after 10 years, Santa Monica Art Studios become like a major player in the art scene in Los Angeles in a very, very wonderful and surprising way in a very short time. It's really fun to come here and see what people do and how they progress and change and transform and make amazing stuff. It's like a family of artists working together, growing together, exhibiting, and there are no big egos, just like come and work and do whatever you do the best you can. That's the idea. It's like pretty much covering all the artistic need of studio, of a dynamic environment, of a gallery scenario. So people can come, see the work, have a dialogue with the artists. We're having a great event tonight. Can you please come with me? Please come with me. This is for you.
Oh, you're just the sweetest. Thank you.
It's like whatever you can do to give and to get, because we get from it a lot by being able to contribute to the community and to the artist. So it's a great joy to be director of this place. It's great fun. And if I get a chance, I paint and sculpt, which makes me even happier. Art is long, life is short. Enjoy it.
And the garden, and the bougainvillea. Oh, I know, I want to show you something. Come inside. I'm going to put the lights on. This was my gallery here in this space, and Donnie Silver Simons is in my space now. And to celebrate the end of my gallery, she did this piece, and everyone was invited to come and get measured. She marked everyone, and then she cut the piece out, and I have that piece in my home. And then she made a record of everyone who is here. There are so few opportunities for artists to show their work and to collaborate together, and this is really a unique place for doing that. Artists have their ideas, they have their feelings, they have something they want to communicate to us, and it's a very personal, very private thing that happens, and then they give it to us, they share it with us, and that's a gift they give to us. And I've always loved being in the position as a gallerist of being someone who could translate the artist's intentions and thoughts and feelings and the meaning of their work to someone who's not an artist, who is just an appreciator. And I get to do that here with more than 30 artists. It's a special gift that they give to me and that I so enjoy sharing with the public. And I love also to see the kind of sharing and cooperation that goes on here. The generosity of spirit of artists helping one another and letting them know if there's a show, being available to look at work and giving their opinion, because when an artist produces work, it comes from so deep inside, and putting it out there for someone else to look at and talk about and judge is a really scary thing for artists to do. So they have to be so brave. You are all so brave, and I so appreciate that about what you do.
How long has this studio been used?
10 years now.
10 years now. And before that I was with you, I think, for at least another 10. Nor shall death drag thy wonders in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou goest.
Planning it.
Very practical.
Very practical.
It allows you complete control of the angle that you're working on with the shape. It's a tool that I love. Flat chisel actually belonged to Jose de Creve, who was the husband and teacher of my teacher. He was a famous sculptor in the early 1930s and 40s. And here I'm using it. This is not a self-portrait.
Everything you do is a self-portrait.
Everything everyone does is a self-portrait.
Hi, I'm Kathy Leeds, and I've been at Santa Monica Art Studios for 4 years since we moved back from New York. I was at Yossi's previous space, Santa Monica Fine Art Studios, and actually Yossi introduced my husband, David Leeds, who's a sculptor here, and I have a very special attachment personally to the studios and the space and to Yossi and everything, besides from my art, but also from my personal life.
I was taught how to stone carve using a method called direct carving. And I was taught to do it by hand without power tools. In direct carving, you're not allowed to bring drawings or pictures into the studio when you're working. You can do as many drawings as you want, you can work from pictures, do whatever you want. But when you're with the stone, you're supposed to just be listening to the stone, responding to the stone, the forms in the stone, to your ideas as well, of course, but to make it an organic, direct process. There is a life and a vitality in the stone that just nothing else matches. And a piece of Carrara marble is just alive in a way that no other material I've ever seen or experienced is.
And there was a little bug sitting right outside on the window, and I just really liked the juxtaposition of the little bug against the big skyline and Lake Michigan in the back. This body of work of mine is entitled Ammo, and it's of ammunition cross sections. They reveal the innards of bullets, and what I found intriguing about this project is that it really reveals a hidden layer. It kind of provides a glimpse into the human psychology. Each object is obviously designed with a very specific purpose in mind. It's really not so much about the object itself, but really more about the memory associated with it and the story behind it. And my work evolves a lot around just like evoking stories really behind the objects I'm photographing.
This work is called Suspended States. I did a series of 25 cages. If you notice, each one of the cages has a way to escape. Every single one of them. I can point some of them out, but there's all sorts of ways to escape. You can perceive your situation any way you want, and making it maybe a situation that isn't as bad as you think. So perceptions can be changed, and there, of course, there's lots of ladders also to help you get out of your space, whether it's internally, your mental state, or whether you actually want to leave. So that was the theme of this piece.
I use many mediums. I do art installation, video, photography. For me, the metaphysic period actually was fascinating because the presence of absence in art pieces was incredible. The silence that actually speak to me. Another big inspiration for me was the arte povera, and be in Rome and be close to this artist, and it was an amazing thing. But still I like the raw materials. Still I like to work with dirt and bark, like these trees. It's something secret about the material, and it is where you found the idea, where the idea match. And you can pull out stuff, you can pull the possibility, the transformation. There's a secret here.
Om Namah Shivaya. That's what I do before I walk into my studio. And then I sit down here and I feel so honored and blessed in that I get to play. I get to play with all this stuff. This is reaches some place inside me that's my core. And so to be able to come here and feel safe, to be able to create anything I want in this space means a lot. These wooden structures now that I'm building, they're taking on a whole big sculptural feel, and and I'm having a great time. I realized how strong and important the connections are in a place like this. There's always people walking through here. If you keep your studio door open, you know, chances are someone's going to pop in, you know, every day and just kind of see what's going on with you, and I like that.
Usually, a lot of time I don't plan. I start to do something. Usually, a piece of wood makes me feel like I have relationship with the wood. I start to paint or do something, and the wood tells me what he wants to become. A lot comes from my background, my childhood, my relationship with my mother, and developed to be a lot concerned with family matters, relationship, immigration, things that I experience all my life. It never ends. And I'm very figurative artist, but I feel like recently, or the last year, I become more and more, I think more free, not so constructed into figures. And also my figures, I draw them and paint them very free, like a child in a way. It's a child inside me.
Welcome to the Cloud Lab, the name I've given my studio for the body of work that I'm working on now. I work with translucency and materials that are translucent, which gave way to the idea of working with clouds and light. And through that, I'm able to address a lot of environmental and emotional experiences. This is going to be a little baby cloud. Every art studio is a laboratory, and I love the idea. It almost gives me more permission to experiment in a way, or it's a warning to people coming in that there are experiments and materials going on here.
This is a piece where I use the Santa Monica tide schedule as the rhythm of the marking. Is for a body of work called Sejura, the tidal work, Tidal. This is the place where I process my thoughts and my questions and my conflicts and put together a whole picture of reality that I can exist within. When I'm not working, I don't understand the world. I don't understand my breath. When I'm working, it all makes sense to me. I conceptualize my work as drawings, and the markings on each of these pieces is reminiscent of drawing and of mark making and the dialogue that an artist has between their mind and their hand.
Hi, I'm Lulu Camp, and I am a painter, and I use a lot of color, and I create from my heart. And, okay, stop. This is my sanctuary. Welcome. I'd have to say my biggest inspiration would be color in general. I am very attracted to color, and as you can see, there's a lot of color around here. The connection to the LA art scene is that I love having people come in here and experience what I experience, which is really from the gut. I don't paint because I have to or because I've been trained a certain way. I paint because it's my passion and it is inside of me.
Right now I work with color a lot, and that inspires me. These are, in a way, color conversations. So those were a series. I work on several pieces at once, usually in a family of colors, and before I've taken them together and put them together as triptych or diptych and watched the evolution.
And this is my latest painting that I'm working on. It's a little bit larger than the rest of them, and it's turning out that it's going to be a little bit darker in feel, I think. I'm calling them color therapy because it's very therapeutic for me to sit here with a number 1 or a 0 brush and just paint. The base color, which is kind of unusual, I think it comes from my watercolor background, that I do the light first, and then over that I come in with very small brushes and paint in the details. And it takes a while.
This is some of my handmade paper. That's, I love it. I have a whole, isn't this gorgeous? This is handmade paper from South Africa. This is actually elephant dung, if you can believe, with a print from my Lithuanian legacy on it. And this piece is from also the South African, I mean, it's like quite a departure, but this piece was called The Hunter, and this is also a collograph print with mixed media. So I'm working on some stuff now, just playing with painting with soil and pigment. These 4 guys here are sort of stylized shamans that I took pictures of in South Africa and then incorporated using the soil and some acrylic medium, and the bottles on the top because it's sort of a reference to medicine.
Wash my hands and let's get started, okay?
Okay. When you're in a studio like this, there's also the process that has to be taken into consideration. That process where there's more of you on the piece of paper, on the canvas, in the sculpture, than is left inside. For those moments, to be alone for some people are great comfort. The smell of the ink, the squeezing of that expensive red. Sometimes the process is worth it all. And days go by, the paintings are never signed, but we have been part of that great brushstroke that goes beyond any visual edge.
Yeah, these are individual sheets of mylar paper. I love it because it's very immediate. I just put the paper and start working on it. I don't have to prepare a canvas, and I have more freedom in terms of size and dimensions. I can extend as long as I want, and I also place several sheets next to each other so my work can expand. I'm starting to introduce a little bit of color, but it's going to be very monochromatic. Some greens, some grays, that's it. My work is mostly figurative. I work in really large scales, and I try to go even larger scale than this is my new project, going real size images of buildings and nature. I love portraying the human figure, the human spirit, the personality. My intention is to portray a reality that is outside and bring it inside a normal, regular space. So in this way I like to integrate architectural spaces with nature and with the human experience.
Basically connecting inside and letting out whatever I need to talk
I have been working abstract expressionism and automatic drawing for many years, for 16 years. And that's what I have been expanding here in Los Angeles and in the studios, incorporating also healing through art. I graduated from my master's in spiritual psychology with an emphasis in consciousness, health, and healing. So I incorporated all the healing tools through the art, accessing the internal world, accessing the subconscious, and giving a voice to each part, internal parts, the body, through the automatic painting and automatic drawing. And using this tool as a way of finding my own language and offering this to the outside world, to whoever wants to use it. It's for everybody, and access that same inner world and find their own language in art.
So hi, my name is Krista August, and I guess I'm here to speak a little bit about my work first. The paintings behind me were inspired by a new topic that I wanted to explore, which was optical illusions and the effect on the brain. And basically I wanted to create images of positive and negative space. And then I also do kind of like mythical characters and more spiritual themes of like the subconscious and dream states, and those are really fun for me as well.
This is semi-precious. I buy these pearls in Honolulu. I found a place in New York that sold me all their inventory of very, very old 1940s pieces. And then I reconstruct it and make it into something new. And the same with this one. This is a very, very old piece that's stuck on brand new handmade chains. Everything is assembled in Venice, California, and Santa Monica. And we distribute it all around the country. I do a lot of things with cement because I do mosaics, and mosaics require you do a lot of things with cement, and then I tint it black. It's got oil bar and India ink and everything scratched into it. And this was just an experiment to see what would happen with the black cement on paper.
Hi, I'm Gwen Samuels. You're in my studio. This is a special time that we're coming on. It's our 10th anniversary. So this is a big culmination for me. Also, I'm working sculpturally now, and I want to share a little bit about my art. I have a piece here that I'm working on, and I brought it so you could see it's in process. And there's some empty spaces that haven't been filled in yet. And this is what here's what the sheets look like before they're cut up. And then I hand stitch each one into the place where it goes. And see, I'm looking to see how this fits. Whatever way you can get your artwork out there and meet collectors and meet people interested in your work is a good way for you. And I have found with the Santa Monica Art Studios, there are a lot of opportunities connecting with collectors. We certainly have fabulous artists, and when I say fabulous, I also say original. They have original ideas, they have original thoughts.
I'm currently working on a project called the Wallflower Project here in my studio, and this will eventually be an installation. Where? I'm not sure. It was a conversation that I had with another artist in Connecticut. She had just met my husband, and when he walked away, she said to me, "Gosh, your husband's beautiful." So was mine when he was his age too. She was 70, by the way. The concept of the wallflower in this conversation came about when I was looking up wallflower, I kept finding the word fading, like the person who fades into the background. And when I looked up the history of the wallflower, I think it was came about in the 1800s, where the maidens that would be sitting along the wall at a dance and wouldn't be asked to dance became the wallflowers.
So on an etching plate, since I do so many etchings here, with a couple of different kinds, the copper plate, from a traditional sense, is really my favorite to work on. It's such a nice, beefy thing, and goes all the way back. You know, printmaking has not changed much in 500 years since Rembrandt's time. And the great thing about etching, each medium has something that's special to it, and I really try and use that medium in that way, to sort of emphasize what it's good for. In this particular case with copper plate etching, you can get black on black on black that's almost like velvet, depending on how many times you work the plate. And this is the plate here. And the advantage of monotypes is you can use the white paper as part of your image. Also, it's a very spontaneous medium because you have to do it all in one go. You have to print it before the paint dries. So some of these I use black and white because I can keep that paint wet for about 9 hours. That takes about how long it takes to draw one of these out. It's a narrative work, sort of a storytelling, but I'm not trying to tell a whole story. I'm leaving the story up to the viewer. So I'm giving each person who looks at the work a set of circumstances, and I hope it brings about like questions for them, and that they can sort of develop the moral of the story if there is one.
A lot of my work begins with a story. So often I write, I'm a writer, and I will write something which then inspires me to make a piece. So I made this piece thanks to Luigia. Got me involved in a show called Visioni dell'Umanità that were visions of humanity that started in Rome and has really gone all over the world, really. And this piece also is based on a story. I met this lovely 12-year-old kid from Ethiopia. His name is Akawak. And he came to the States with a childhood spinal problem that was ultimately going to crush his heart, and he was going to die. And a number of doctors in Colorado actually offered to do surgery on him for free. And they did something like 8 surgeries that have straightened his spine. And he is a brilliant, lovely human being who now has a full life ahead of him. So this piece both illuminated the humanity that he has and the humanity that the doctors gave him in really kind of giving him a new lease on life.
This is where things are created. It's a house of process. I like to consider this not an exhibit, but instead a workshop where my tools are laid out, paints are ready and at hand, and visitors are welcome. And their interactions with my paintings as they are in process helps create the work itself. Those conversations are very meaningful for me. You know, the characters are chosen very specifically, and I like to have a broad array of figures that represent who we are as world citizens. I'm very conscious of the ethnicity and the makeup of the people who come in and out of my artworks, and I'm trying to tell stories with that, open-ended stories that the viewer can then bring their own feelings into it, but hoping that it will create a sense of political dialogue and artistic collaboration within the work itself. Many things inspire me, and what I like to do is to try to keep my fingers on the pulse of society. It's one of the things that visual artists over the years have been able to do, and do in almost a way that's better than newscasters or pundits or political spokespersons. There's something about an artist looking at a political situation and creating either a visual representation or a complex questioning of the powers that be. The books for me pull me back to those moments, to those times that I've spent in front of the paintings and the beauty, and then maybe the light outside after you leave the museum, and then the memories that you carry with you, and the people that you were with, and the loss and the longing, all of that. Recently, I stood outside in a clearing of a Monterey, California forest near the coast in the middle of the night with my brother and René Boitel, a painting conservator at the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. Unlike the skies in Los Angeles, we were able to see the stars in the night sky, and of course thought of Vincent van Gogh's painterly evocations of the glittering night. Van Gogh was able to capture the night in his paintings with his skillful use of midnight blue and starry yellow. Gazing at a Van Gogh painting of a star-filled sky, it seems as if he knew that the lights he saw in the dark night had traveled from the deepest reaches of time. According to physicists, as we gaze at the stars, in essence, we are looking back toward the beginning of time.